Right, I think we can start now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you might be joining us from. Welcome to this second meetup for the series that we are having at the moment to help us to improve our design, the design of our websites. My name is Joan Logose, and I'll be your host for today. And I'll be introducing our speaker for the day. But if it's your first time joining this meetup, welcome. Please keep coming. There's a lot to learn. If you're returning, if it's not your first time coming for these meetups, welcome back. Just a few housekeeping rules that many of you are actually keeping at the moment. Please keep your microphones muted if you're not speaking. If you have a question, please raise your hand, or you can put the question in the chat and we'll be able to respond to you. We are just here for 1 hour. It's going to be a very engaging meetup. Unlike the one that we had last time, this one is going to be quite engaging. So please be ready to participate. And now I'll hand over to Habib. He will speak about himself and introduce today's topic and what we're going to be talking about today. So Habib, over to you.
All right, guys, welcome again, and thank you, WordPress Uganda. Of course, we have now 15 minutes left. I'll try to be quick with introduction. I'm Habib Mukasa. I'm Ugandan. I live in the United States, and I am a UI UX designer. I have experience at least 16 years of designing websites, and so this is what I eat, breathe, live, sleep. Okay, so in today's topic, we are going to talk about design and research. In the series that we are going to have, I have decided that we shall create a website from scratch. And then I want you guys to participate and not just hear me talking all this garbage, but I want you to participate and have you thinking about what you would do in that website. We discuss these things, and then we can look at the strengths, the weaknesses of that as well. So I really, really need you to participate in this. Otherwise, it's going to get boring, and it's just it just won't be of any use to you. So today the topic is going to be design and research. When a company approaches you and they want to create a website for them, what comes to your mind first, right? Of course, maybe for a lot of people, it might be like, oh, this is an opportunity. I'm going to get however million Uganda shillings from this. A lot of people think like that before even thinking what the client needs, right? And then what happens when they think like that, they end up doing something that is going to burn them out. And by burning out, I mean the customer is asking you for so many things, and you yourself are like, okay, I didn't charge the right amount of money. We don't want to talk about that. We're just imagining, what if a business came to you and they wanted a website? What is going to be the first thing you're going to do? So I'm going to use the sample website that we are all going to work on, and just allow me to share screen. Right? And do let me know if you can see my screen, guys. Are we good? Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. I don't know about
Okay.
yours, but I can see.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So this is a brand new WordPress website. I haven't done anything to it. And just while we were waiting for everyone to join, I wanted to ask you guys what your process is. Anyone can volunteer right here. Very quickly, let me know, what do you do when you're starting your WordPress websites? Going to be using Elementor and pretty much as your editor. What do you guys do? Can someone volunteer and let me know very quickly?
Moses' hand is raised. Moses, please unmute yourself and take us through your process of starting a website.
All right, thank you. My first process is a planning website work. That is, it includes carrying out feasibility study, preparing a budget, observing the ethical and privacy standards, drafting a contract, and determining the appropriate domain name, plus correcting the website content, and determining the resources to use.
Let me just stop you right there. We're going to get to that. This is just now like a quick WordPress, quick question for WordPress, not for the entire process. But then just quickly, I'll come into WordPress. It's blank. You're about to start designing, like literal designing. I want to just set up that WordPress website so that you can start working on it. So I'm just asking, what do you guys do when you log into a brand new WordPress website? That's what I meant if I wasn't clear.
All right. What I actually do is selecting the theme and dealing with the settings, setting the permalinks, creating menus. Yeah.
Okay, so you would need, like, for the menus, you would need to know what's going to be on the menus and all that. So I think maybe you might have skipped a step, Moses, but I would go right here on appearance and select the theme. And right away, I'm going to add a new one. And then I'm going to go to Hello Theme. That's right there, because it's the one that Element is using, right? Activate that. And then, like, I remove all this other clutter, remove all these other themes. They're unnecessary. And so this is maybe before you've got any of the information that you need. And then if you have the Pro theme, you can go ahead and, okay, say here it's asking you installing the Hello theme, install Elementor. I'll go ahead and do that. And okay, now we're good to go. And here I do have a Pro account, so it's going to ask me to log in here, and I'll do that. Okay, then I'll just go back to the thing. So that's the step that I was asking for. Very quickly, you're starting. You make sure that everything is clean. Don't worry about the menu, because you don't even know yet what you're going to be designing. You don't know what menu items, you haven't discussed that, right? So this is going to be our website that we're going to work on. Okay, it's blank. And this will, by the end of the whole series, we'll have a brand new website. I've picked the website because this one might relate to you, but not so obviously as well. I've picked a tourist website in Uganda, and not exactly tourism as well. So how many of you have been to the equator? I'm sure all of you have passed by, right? On the way to Masaka. Is that correct?
Yeah, even during the WordCamp massacre, which was last month, I think many of us passed by the equator.
Okay, so as you know, as you've seen this area, it's very interesting. It's also the route that people take when they're going to the national parks, Queen Elizabeth and those ones. Like they tend to take that route. So it's a very busy highway, and that's the stop where people take pictures and all of this and the other. So what we're going to do in our course, we're going to design a website for Uganda Equator. But the equator is not only in that spot. It's also there in Jinja, I believe, and also in Kasese. I've been to the one in Kasese. And I think on one of the islands, I'm not sure, but I think on one of the islands it's there as well. So we're going to design a website that is about this area, right? And let's just say the tourism board has said, WordPress Uganda, I need you guys to design a website for me. That's all they want. That's the way they're going to approach you, right? So what comes into your head as a UX designer? What are you going to do, right? This is the only information they've given you to start, but they want to go ahead. So in the UX, this first UX design process is we have to define what the goal is here. And in this process, it's very important that you meet with the camera is on. You meet with the stakeholders and find out exactly what they actually need from this website. Okay, so you have to spend time, and this could take maybe 2 months of you doing research of what they need. Listen to them. It's very crucial that you listen to them and get as much information from them. Otherwise, without this information, just as Moses said, he went straight away, blah, 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 this, you're already missing a lot of the information right there. That's a perfect example of what happens a lot of the time, especially in Uganda. you skip this very crucial point. Yes, bug the stakeholders, the business owners, arrange meetings, go there in person, talk to them, ask them as many questions. Okay, don't make it too tedious for them as well. You have to be organized as well, right? Take notes, recordings, and find out what they need this website for. So I'm going to ask just a few people very quickly, as I want this to be interactive. What would a website for Uganda Equator help with? Just what would help? What would be the use of this? Why are you even creating a website for Uganda Equator? If anyone can give me maybe 2 answers, we can, get moving. Anyone?
I think such a website would be used to promote the Equator and Uganda as a whole, but specifically the Equator.
Okay. I think someone has to take notes for us, about with this, right? But okay, promotion of it. And Moses, go ahead. I think you put your hand up.
Yeah, one of the uses, I think, say, community engagement. It could facilitate communication and engagement with local community and tourists, including user-generated content and other forums for discussion. And the next thing is also tourism promotion and educational resources.
Okay. And okay, so can you just repeat about the community, because I think that was an interesting part. Can you just say what you're saying about the community again?
Yes, with community engagement, I think it can help to facilitate communication and engagement with the local community and the tourists. And
Okay, so the tourists can know about the community around the equator.
Exactly.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I like that, right? Other than the first suggestion, which is general, right? Knowing about the equator, of course, right? The website will talk about the equator and what goes on there and promote tourism for Uganda in general. Fine. But that is a really good point, because this is a community of people, and I've been to this area a lot, and there are a lot of things coming up right there, restaurants, gas stations and all of this. So there is a community of people who are living in this area. So engaging them and finding out more about them is something really that is very important. I totally agree with that. Is there anyone else with a suggestion?
He also did mention education, because a lot of schools come there and there's that experiment that's usually done when water is moving anti-clockwise and clockwise in the
Right.
south and
Okay.
northern hemisphere. So yeah, he mentioned that too.
Okay, perfect. That's good. Does anyone else have any suggestion?
Yeah, I think merchandise sale can also work,
Okay.
whereby when you visit the equator, around it, there are a number of people with things that they sell.
Okay, so now that's a good point, but this is now, Lima, again, remember, it's the Uganda Tourist Board approaching you for this, right? Many of the businesses you're talking about are their own businesses. So you have to tell me, if you bring this proposal to me as Uganda Tourist Board, I'm going to say, okay, is it our merchandise that you want to sell, or do you want to promote the local people's shops over there? Okay, so, and just to kind of make it easy, I think what we're going to do, I'm going to be the stakeholder, I'm going to be your kind of tourist board, and you guys are going to be the designers, right? So you're going to throw these ideas to me, and I'm going to hit back with answers as if I owned Uganda Equator. Okay. Anyone else have a suggestion? So we've talked about promoting Uganda's tourism. We've talked about also talked about the community, then education, and then Moses has also brought a suggestion about trade or selling goods. Right? Does anyone else have a suggestion? So what we're going to do now is, for the people who are here, you are going to, well, let me put it like this, right? We're talking about the why and also the research. You're now going to go back, right? And maybe this can take a week for you guys, right? I don't want it to be just for this meeting. Go back, and everyone who is here, come back and send me or the moderator notes about what you've thought about. We've just highlighted this, but I really want a lot of detailed notes or as many ideas, and I'll give you time, maybe a week, maybe two. Um, Go back and find out why would the Uganda Equator need a website? It might sound boring, and you're thinking, why am I doing this? But this is what UI UX is, and these are the points where you have to do, and then you can command a website that is at a minimum of 10,000 US dollars. Because who was it? Who gave us the suggestion? Uh, I think it was Moses, right? In the beginning, when I asked about setting up the the website, he said, "Oh, I do the invoicing, I do the contracts, I do all this and the other." You can't do that before you know what you're going to charge for. You know what I'm saying? You can't bring up a price when you don't know. This particular part of the research is something you're going to build. Why? Because research actually involves you thinking of the ideas you've just given me, but it also involves you going to Masaka on the equator, talking to the people, finding out what is it. You go yourself, right? Yes, you can build a customer for this. One line on the invoice is going to read design and research $2,000. Just that part, because you've taken 1 month, 2 months going there, interviewing, finding out what is it, what is going on, other than the time that you've spent and had a cup of tea at the Equator restaurant is not enough. You don't know what is going on in this area. You guys see where I'm going? So you wonder sometimes why big companies like, MTN and all these are paying 15,000, 20,000 for websites. It's because the process takes long and they understand. But if you want to do a website quickly, you're already sending a contract before you even know what you're going to design. You are the one killing yourself. You are the one destroying yourself because you don't know what you're doing. You only know 10%. So I want everyone to go back and be like, these are the reasons. These are the reasons why we need a website, why the tourist board is thinking that they need a website, right? Then you're going to come back and be like, we have X, we have this, we found this, we found this, we found this. But while you're doing that, while you're doing research as well, you're also going to try and find out, okay, how would I incorporate this in a website, right? So I go back to you, Moses, when you mentioned the short parts, right? That particular point only, because for the schools, we can maybe put, okay, at the equator, they do an experiment, and in your mind, you can imagine there is a page that explains this, and maybe a YouTube video, and maybe that's right. That might work. But now for the show, Moses, and I ask you again, how are you going to incorporate that? Before you come back and confirm to me that, yes, this can help with shops and all of this, how are you going to incorporate that on the website? Because your idea has to click with me. You have to convince me as the stakeholder that, you know what, on your website, we can also do A, B, C, D, E. Maybe it is a Uganda Tourist Board shop, but how are you going to sell the items? Are they going to use mobile money? Are they going to use their credit cards on their website? How are they, like, how is it going to work, right? So Moses, maybe you can quickly, if you have 2 minutes, think of how you would make that work. Could you go ahead and quickly think? Sorry. Moses, you're there?
Oh, yes. I thought of um, one thing is I don't know if I've got the question clear, but the payment methods you've talked of the payment methods. Yes, an online store integration can be made through extensions, that is plugins, or using APIs provided by e-commerce platform that we shall use. And one of the things I would include there, if it comes to merchandise, it could include something like t-shirts, branded t-shirts featuring the Uganda's Equator name and all related to the design. It could include educational materials like pamphlets or maps that provide information about the equator's significance and geography, and also local art and crafts created by local artisans that are inspired by the equator's culture or natural surroundings.
Okay. Okay, good. So now you're telling me as the stakeholder that, oh, you know what, I'm going to have e-commerce, and okay, you said maybe you haven't told me whether you take credit cards, and that's going to be the first thing. I'm going to be like, now how am I going to collect my money? Then the second thing I'm going to ask you, if we are promoting tourism in Uganda, as the first suggestion was, am I able to ship these overseas? Maybe someone in the UK wants to buy a art and craft from the equator. Have you thought about that? So you see how far you have to think, right?
Yeah.
The idea is good, but you see how far you have to think, because these questions from the stakeholders, they know nothing about web design. They only have the idea. They want you to execute. I hope I'm making sense to see how far you have to really think and just kind of be on the shallow part that, okay, yes, I can integrate e-commerce. How if someone is not there physically, is it going to be delivered? If someone is overseas, how are you going to ship it?
There I will think of implementing shipping, that is sending, I can think of making a delivery in case someone makes an order. Yeah.
No problem. You don't have to go into much detail now, but the details will come later on after the week or so when you guys have done your research, right? You come back and say, okay, I'm going to do e-commerce and I'm going to execute it A, B, C, D, E. You tell the business. Because now, you imagine if you're in the meeting with me right now and you're telling me this, you're kind of like, I know it's on the spot, but you're not convincing me that this will work. You have to be firm and be like, no, we're going to do e-commerce. It's going to be like this. We're going to do like this. We've researched A, B, C, D. In your research and in this phase, you have to have statistics. Oh, I found out that X number of people in Kayagwe, where the equator is, are not connected online, right? But I also found out that maybe 90% of all tourists who come to Uganda are from overseas and they pass by the equator. You have to have all these numbers. You have to have anything you say, you have to back it up. You have to have proof. And you can't make up this proof, right? You have to go there. You have to find out. And if you can't go there, let's say this is a website for, let me say, backpackers in Australia. Just give you an example. Of course, I'm not saying go and fly to Australia to do this, but do your research online. You can do it online. In your document you're presenting, have links that say, but I found out these statistics, here is the link. I found out this statistic, here is the link. And again, as I said, this process is going to take you at least minimum of 1 month, 2 months, just doing only this. Is there any question anyone wants to ask so far? Anyone?
I think we don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay, I hope it's all clear, right? Like that particular part that is essential. And now, because you're a savvy web designer, UX designer, you are now thinking, okay, this again, okay, we want to do this. I found out that these people need this, and the other. Let's you know what, let's make sure that we can get the right extensions, the right plugins, everything. Like on the side, you're kind of making notes that, okay, for e-commerce, we will use a Flutter web account, and make it seamless. You're thinking ahead, but also thinking in the moment as well, as 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 that is going on, right? And again, as I've said, that this one part is something that you also bill your client, and then you put in all your expenses. Fine, your time to go to Kayawe, your time to research online and do all of this. Again, just only that, let's say, is going to give you at least $2,000. Just that part. We haven't even started designing yet. Okay, so now, while you're doing your research, there are other things that you may want to look at. Of course, you're a very good web designer. You know that websites always do need images, right? You know that. So can someone give me a suggestion on what they would do, because they know that they're going to use images? What would be your way of going about that? Because you're going to have to tell the client that, you know what, we need images. So guys, tell me, what would be your way of going around that part?
Let me give an example of what I usually do in my line of work. So after we've discussed the website, they've told us what they need, we've determined the pages and the content that we need. I will look at maybe the About Us page, then I will meet with them. Because usually, if I just tell them to send me photos, they will send funny photos, weird photos. But me, as the designer or the person who is supporting them, I have an idea in my mind. I know what I want. So I'll meet with them. We sit down with a pool of photos, even if it's 1,000, I don't mind. We sit down and start selecting the photos that apply to each of the pages or the content that I'm going to be using. And if they do not have photos, I usually go to the free photo websites and show them what I want, because I know that those photos are free and we can use them. But personally, I've seen many of them almost everywhere, and I would like my clients to have unique photos. So I will show them an example of what I want and then ask if they are able to take such a photo, because you can get people to pose for a photo. You can train somebody to take a photo. And if they fail, as a last resort, then I'll use the stock images. Otherwise, I go through the photos with them so that I can show them what I want. Even for future purposes, they will know how Joanne works and what kind of photos that I want. Otherwise, they will send me funny photos.
Okay. Okay, that's a good point. Anyone else saying something?
Yeah, I'm just supplementing with images, with image selection. Uh, According to me, what I can do is to choose images that showcase the beauty of the natural location, that is the equator, and also consider, if I'm to obtain the photos from a reputable source, I should consider taking or using original photos taken during the tours, hire a professional photographer, or as well use stock photos. And another thing I should consider is, or I will consider is image editing. So I think I need to consider image editing in a way to ensure that they are well composed and optimized for web use. And another thing is selecting the file format, the format of the photos to be uploaded to the website.
Okay, very good. So what I've noticed is I'm going to ask all of you to slow down a bit. Just a little bit. We let's. This is a webinar. It's open discussion, and I like the discussions, but it's also giving me a sense of, sadly, how we tend to go ahead of each other. So in the first suggestion, the okay, what images are going to go on the about us page? Again, we're still on the design and the, sorry, on the research part, right? As to the why we are doing this. But what I'm saying here, oh, let me just give you the solution. None of you here, okay, I know I'm a photographer, right? But I'm not good with drones and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not yet there. But yes, I can do a video. Of course, we do videos every day. So you are going to start thinking when you're there, and this is other than going to the about us page yet that we haven't even, because what if we don't need an about us page? We might not need it, right? But in Moses's case, he's saying, okay, let's get photographs. And in the first suggestion, it was also maybe we can use stock photos. Stock photos are going to be a desperate way of you getting images whereby it has failed to work, right? And you're now going to go and get images. But yes, if you go on the free website, as mentioned, you're going to find the same images everywhere, right? And if you look very closely on paid and unpaid websites where you can get free images, you won't find a lot of Africa, those that are giving an African theme that, you know, you just want, like, there are not that many. If they're there, they're being used everywhere. None of you are photographers. None of you are videographers. It is also at this stage that you actually, as Moses has suggested, you think of hiring a photographer to do this for you. Let them take care of it. That's not your work. Let them take care of it. Let them give you the best pictures. Of course, maybe you have to have a meeting with them. Again, exchange ideas that this is what you want to do. You want to get a nice drone shot of the equator line, achieve all of that. Well, just don't worry about the format right now. That's not your concern. I understand it, and it will come in play when you're designing, but we are 5 series away from the design part right now, okay? So it's going to come. But now when you're doing your research, you're going to be like, okay, I've come to this place. It's in the village. Let me just say, right? We need photos, but photos of what? You need this. This is where the research is. Photos of what? Of just the dome, the domes at the equator? Is that it? Is that all that you need? Remember why you're designing the website. If you can't know why you're designing it, then you don't know what pictures you're going to take. And surely, I don't think you're going to find an image that you can use that is copyright free, whereby the owner won't come back and say, why is Uganda Tourist Board using my image without buying it or whatever, right? So you may want to have your own images done for you, but you're not a photographer. You're not a photographer, but you're going to have to work with one because you have a vision in your mind is rolling, as all of you are good designers. You want to see that effect on this website. Are you thinking of having a hero welcoming that is 100% view height of a video and all of this stuff? Your mind is rolling. Bring those ideas to the photographer. And again, as the other Moses mentioned, oh, I need to make this invoice. That is going to be something that you're going to build a client, right? You are going to bill them that for photography and video. I was charged $3,000. This is how much I'm going to charge you. You guys see, right? So now you have the time for you to go and do the research. Then you're now thinking, okay, where am I going to get these images from? Again, if you stick to stock photos, it's a desperate move. But okay, in the list, you go to the Adobe website that has photos and pay maybe $5. I don't know how much it is on there, maybe $5 or something for the. Otherwise, if you're struggling to get images for someone, then that means that you're not, this client is wasting your time. They're not paying you enough money. They're paying you $500,000 for a 20-page website and all of that. And why are you wasting your time with that? Why? Okay, so you guys have contacts, I'm sure, with a lot of young people in Uganda who know this drone stuff very well. I'm actually really impressed. So you go, you talk to them, and again, you find out how much it's going to cost to get these images, and maybe also ask the client that, hey, do you have any images? Maybe one of their family members or someone has been there and has taken images, and maybe this might work, right? Maybe, you never know. So ask, find out, and then um, look and see. But all this again, you're now gathering all these things that you will need from your website. Is there any question on that part?
Okay, there are two messages from Moses. He says being broke is a serious disease in Uganda. Maybe that's why people undercharge for websites. A website that could go for $10,000, you end up accepting 500,000. Then he says we do a lot of professional stuff at a simple cost or no cost at all, simply because we want to get bread for the day. So that's Moses Casa.
Okay.
That's his contribution.
I guys, please remember, born, raised, whatever in Uganda. I totally understand. And it's nothing different from here in the US. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Sometimes someone is like, look, I need this quick website. We have a lot of small businesses here in the US and in Uganda as well, right? And they're like, okay, I need this, and that. But the sad thing about this is that, and we'll have a totally different series about costs, right? Is you will never move out of that gutter if you continue doing it. Sorry to use that example, but if you continue and not feel like you are worth more than $500,000, you are always going to stay in $500,000. You have to step up and say, I'm presenting this kind of work. Okay, if you can't afford a photographer for whatever budget and all this and the other, why don't you take some time and go and research and find out where you can get really good photos? Don't just go Google free photos, type in whatever thing you're typing in. How about you spend at least one day, seriously, just looking and seeing, okay, let me look further in these stock photos, something that's going to work, right? Because the thing is, many of the websites that you guys have shown me is, okay, the images might be of poor quality, but then there you have to adjust your design to accommodate this. You can't use a 200 by 200 pixel photo and use it and spread it across the entire website. You're even making things worse, right? You adjust, but until you move out of that, you're always going to get clients who are going to give you that kind of money. And the thing is that once you show the client that, look, I've done an X website and it's on point, images, everything, navigation, everything is on point and it's clean, they're going to respect you. They're going to respect you, and that's how you attract the other bigger companies. They're not going to say, okay, this is just Moses Kosa and I'm just one person. They don't look at that, actually. They look at what can you give them? What can you provide them? And these other companies, MTN and all this on the other, are going to bigger companies because they don't know that you guys exist. And how will they know if you don't give in that work or portray yourself as someone who has good web design skills? So you have to slowly move out of that thinking that, yes, it's taking, I need something to do right now and all this and the other, because otherwise it just won't work. I'm saying this from experience. I was the same exact way when I came to the US. This is a more personal story. I remember I didn't have the right to work in the beginning, right? Years and years ago. But I was a web designer. So whatever people would give me, and as we say here in the US, pay under the table, meaning you're moving through the tax system and not paying taxes on it, they would. And I would take anything. But my goodness, it was constant hosting problems. This, that. It was like constantly. Like that $500 they've given you has burnt out in 2 days. But you're now stuck with supporting a website and all of this for 1 year. Which reminds me, I see on the group a lot of people posting this stuff about hosting, and they're like, oh, 20,000, unlimited support, unlimited emails, and all this. Are you sure are you sure you're really giving me 24-hour support? Like, are you really staying up at 24 hours and you're going to give me support? Unlimited emails, who told you? That's what HostGator is advertising, but you have a limit. You have a limit. Okay, back to the design part. Is this part clear? Can we all agree that we're going to go back and do some research on Uganda Equator, why they would need a website? Let's keep it as the why. Why do these people need a website? What would they do? I want you guys to go back, make those notes, forward them to me, and then in the next series, we can discuss. Do your research. Okay, I'm not saying go to the equator now, maybe you don't have time and all of that, that's fine, but do your online research. Find out people who provide links are going to be a plus. Moses, Sebufu, your suggestions are really good as well, but don't go ahead. You think of just the moment. Don't worry about, okay, how on this page, oh, the format or all this and the other. Don't go ahead, but think about what is in the actual moment. Guys, come back, and then we discuss from that point on. After that, what we shall do, have a list here, right? Is then we're going to do some planning, right? We're going to look at what you've discussed and then do planning that, okay, you know what? From the research we've done, it is very clear that we're going to need an about us page. Okay? Oh, from the research that we've done, it's very clear that we are going to need a contact us page. Maybe there's no need for a contact us page, because who are you contacting? The DOMs? They don't speak, they don't write, right? We will analyze your information, and then you start doing just sketches. Maybe it's a sketch on paper, and this is when your skills with Figma, I don't know if anyone has used Figma, come into hand, because you can even get a piece of paper, excuse me, and just draw a sketch that, you know what I'm thinking, this is my idea from the research I've done, I can do this, hand them, share them, and then we see. You're going to discuss those with the business and see where things are going.
Okay, thank you very much, Habib. We do have a question from Moses in the chat. He says, if you're unable to obtain high quality photos for a client's website, should you consider walking away from the deal?
No, because photos are something that you're going to need on every website. That should not be a deal breaker.
How would you handle such a situation where you're stuck with a client who's not giving content and yet they want the website, but they're not giving you the content that you require?
Why are you agreeing to take your child to school if they refuse to put their clothes on? What are you going to do? Moses, you can answer that. Like, okay, your child is being stubborn, they refuse to put their clothes on, they don't want to go to school, but they have to go to school. Is that going to be the end of education? That's it? Okay, the child has refused to put on their clothes, that's it? No education, no P1, nothing. We're going to sit there and watch this child.
Answer as a Ugandan parent, because...
Yes, as a Ugandan parent, what are you going to do? Because I know what would have happened to me. P1, I know what would have happened to me.
Serious Chiboko.
Thank you, right? Okay, Moses, I'm not saying go and give Chiboko to the client, right? Like, seriously, I'm not. But what I'm saying is that all websites need this. If a client just outrightly refuses to discuss, let's say discuss images, what's the point of you working with them? And you should still work with them. You understand their problem. If it's a situation where they're like, okay, maybe it's an e-commerce store and somehow they just can't get images. Again, I'm saying that we can go use stock photos as a last resort, as mentioned earlier. But you Again, when you're getting those stock photos, you go and dig deep. Don't just put in one keyword and pick the first image, because that's probably 1,000 people around the world have done that and they're using that image. You dig deep and go in. And yes, those websites are going to look boring because it's like a very generic picture and all of this and the other. So there's a solution to that. There's a solution to that. Don't let images be a deal breaker and you walk away. You're the same person now who said that, you know what, you have to survive. So are you going to give up just because someone can't give you images? In the least, you volunteer and take your phone and say, you know what, I'm going to come to your business, take images, and you say, oh, don't worry, it's going to be free, and then you put it in the price somehow, and don't explain that, but put it in the price somehow, at least. So let that not be a deal breaker. Any other question? I hope that's clear.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yeah,
Habib. If Moses, you have a question?
yes. Thank you, Abib. And I would like to know, as you know, AI generation is now available. Do you advise using them as a last resort for web images?
That's a really good point. Very good. Uh, Moses, you have very good points today, actually. That's very good. Let me see if I can, just give me 1 second. Let me see if I can install, let me see if I can install the Pro version of Elementor real quick here, and I show you guys something that I found out in relation to that. That's a really good point. Yeah, let me share. You guys can see my screen here. You see, Element has moved to using these containers. So you guys need to up your skills on that. It's a kind of newish thing, but that's where the world is going now, right? So just take note. I'm just going to do something very rough here, right? And okay, so you see now, right, with Elementor, there's this create with AI, Moses. So we're going to do this. Second, see if this will work. And let's just put up, you see here, it tells you, imagine anything, create anything, generate images by selecting the desired type and style and entering a prompt. Oh, I'm going to use African wildlife, right? Let me just do something random. And you want this to be, you want this to be your header image, right? So landscape 16 by 19. I hope you guys know what all these mean, right? Yes, no? Okay. So we're going to generate. Okay. Moses, are you there?
Yeah.
So look at what I put African wildlife, and this is what it generated, right? It generated this image. Now, up to you to decide. Is this what I want? Let me actually put Uganda. So So let's say you are desperate for images. This is what AI has generated when I typed in Uganda. Very likely, to answer your question, I don't. I think AI still needs improvements because I think from what I've seen, it's really off on 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 things, and I have a feeling that also because it's Africa again, they're just kind of more difficult images to get
I
that
think
are
it
African.
depends on which one, because Mid Journey is really good with African images. The rest are terrible, but Mid
Oh,
Journey is
yes,
good, but it's
yes,
expensive.
right. And then again, you see, right? You have to include that cost. You have to include that cost. I haven't actually heard about that one, Mid Journey. I'm going to look it up myself. I haven't heard about it. But that, Moses, to answer your question, that's what happened. It's giving you an image that actually is not even clear. It's just not. It's not giving you that salt and all this and the other. So I don't know if my time is up, but I don't know if anyone else has another question.
Yeah, I think we're out of time, but we can take a few questions
Okay.
just as we wind up. Hassan, I don't know if it's Hassan or
Yes.
has a question. Please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Hussein, and I wanted to know, this might be out of context, but I'd like to know from your experience whether you can consider, like, you come up with your own template and then use it for different clients, or it's better to get different templates and then customize them. I don't know whether you get that.
Yes.
Which is
So
better in your UX?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, it might be a little bit off of what we're doing now. But just very quickly to answer that is share screen. The you guys, I created that other group for people who are doing the test with me. For seeing if you wanted to work with me, and I still haven't yet found someone. But then again, the issues that are coming up are all kind of the same. But it's okay. We shall work through them. No problem. So the thing is that you can come here and where that is, but I click the right thing. Okay, yeah, here you go. Right. This is where Elementor is really good. Okay, let's just look at this one. Okay, so they have these templates that are there already, that are plain. There's nothing. They're clean. The problem is that you guys tend to get. I don't know where you get them from. Maybe you get them from Invanto or everything. You bring them into WordPress and it's finished. It's a finished website, but you're stuck with that design and how they coded it, and you yourself you end up getting difficulty using it. So personally, what I do is if I'm doing something really fast, I'll come and get the plain, absolutely plain ones here. And this is something that you can also design yourself. Yes, create it, and then you can actually export that template and then reuse it. Okay, so Elementor has that feature as well. You can export templates and then use them. But I wouldn't, you have to be careful that you don't end up having all your websites looking the same way. But if it's one particular area that has, you tend to get a lot of clients asking you about, and let's just say it's like this join our newsletter part, and or maybe you somehow struggle finding this. Let's insert this one very quickly. Right? Like this To me, at this point, you guys should be, you can design. There's nothing big about this. A button, headline, text, image. This is all, right? You can design it. You can design it and then save it as a template, save as a template, same, save, and look, I can export it. So I can then go export this part and use it and reuse it on another website. It sells as a JSON file, and then you can use it onto another website. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, and in case you're not an Elementor fan or you're not using Elementor, you can also use Divi. Divi has the same format where you can save templates and reuse them. And even blocks and sections, you can save those and reuse them anywhere else
Yes,
that
that,
you want. Yes.
you should have every one of you should have a folder on your computer, right? Where you have these things where you don't have to recreate the wheel all the time. You have like save, and give them names that define so your process is easier. That's a good point. But yes, that I do definitely have a lot of those that I do use. Not the
Okay.
entire pieces of it.
Okay, I don't know if we have any other questions, but if we don't, remember that this is a series. We're going to be incorporating the UX design into every step that we're going to be doing, because it's not just something that happens, it's a process. So
Yes.
Habib is going to take us through each of the steps, and it would be good that you're with us throughout the entire series so that you get the maximum benefit out of all this. Otherwise, we'll let you know when the next session is. Remember, we
Right.
also have other meetups in the Ugandan WordPress community. There is Entebbe WordPress meetup, there's Ginger, there's Masaka, there's Lyra. So, or if you go to meetup.com, you can always search for them and find out what is happening there. And if it's your first time here, and you're not yet in the Ugandan WordPress community WhatsApp group, please give us your number. If you're interested in joining, you can give us your WhatsApp number and we'll add you to the group so that you can ask questions or you can find out any other resources that people have. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming for this meetup. We hope to see you next time. We'll be communicating what the next topic is. And please
Yeah.
remember to do Habib's homework.
Please,
I've
please,
decided to call
please.
it homework. Please
Yes,
remember
just
to do
very
the
clear.
homework.
Let me emphasize that again. I just don't want you guys to come and just sit and listen to some random guy here talking about UI UX. If we all work together, it is going to be very useful. That's how I learned, and I'm still learning myself, and I'm also learning from you guys. So if you keep quiet and don't participate, Nagins, Amani Gavera Guam, so just please say whatever idea, even if you think it's not good, say it. Don't hold back, and we shall discuss it openly. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. I'll now bring this to an end. We'll see you next time. Thank you for coming.